action. Welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Teresa Palmer.
Hello. I'm Wright, Olsen, and I have COVID. So
yeah, she's
there you go.
Very sick right now. Very sick and very pregnant.
I sound terrible, but
that baby could be delivered on air right now. Maybe that gardener from a few weeks back could be handy. Maybe he's around.
I talked to our guest today a few weeks ago, and she told me, we were trying to figure out dates for when this baby was going to come. She was like, there's something about like May 18th. She's like, but I really feel like baby's coming like at the end of May, beginning of June. And I was like, oh, well, my husband leaves town May 18th. And I was like, and I got COVID really hard.
Well, maybe that's what you were picking up on.
Yeah, I'm like, I got floored May 18th. So that's what that is. Well, we are so excited to have Emily, the medium, back with us today. We love her so much. She's such a special human, and she has such an amazing energy. And I know you guys loved our episode with her. And we are talking all about names today. And she has this amazing new aspect to what she does that we're going to share with you guys.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back. So happy to be back with you. Your community is so beautiful.
I feel like lots have reached out to you because I hear from people saying, like, I had a session with Emily. I was like, oh my God.
Yes, I know. It's amazing. I love meeting everybody connected to you both. They're so wonderful. You have the most beautiful listenership. So thank you for having me back. I'm very happy to be here.
I was with Ruma yesterday and she said she just had a session with you. And I was like, oh my God. Like, because people are obsessed with you. Like the work that you do, it's niched. It's an area that not everyone does. So it's really exciting. I'm happy for you. Thank you for spreading all the love and wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you.
And we love a return guest. So yay, welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to hear more about this name thing. I was traveling when you sent the email to us about like, maybe we can talk about this. So I just opened that now and Sarah's like, oh, there's this new thing that she does. So I'd love to hear more about that aspect and how it's connected with the work that you've already been doing for the past however many years.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I'll start just by giving a little backstory into the name work, because before I discovered this new system, this was something that I was kind of already working with parents and families and kind of consulting on different names and this sort of thing. And so it's kind of interesting just to see the parallels. So, you know, I've been doing this for quite a while, and a topic that always comes up naturally is the names. What am I going to name my baby? I have this name. I have this name. I got this name in a dream. My husband loves this name. I have this name that I got in a dream, but my husband doesn't like it. You know, there's just so much to the name topic and so many different streams. And I think it's one of those things that's actually becoming like parents are more intentionally naming their children, which is amazing, because what we're realizing, I think maybe consciously, subconsciously, who knows, is how important names are and how they really represent like who we're supposed to be on this planet. And I've always felt that like a name is so important, and it really represents like not only who we are, but I think what we're supposed to do on this planet and what our gifts are and what our natural like talents are. And also maybe some of the things that we can find challenging in our life as well. And so this is something that always came up. You know, I would be working with the spirit baby and they'd be like, my parent has my name. I gave it to them. We're good. Like they've got it. It's amazing. And then sometimes I would talk to babies where they're like, they're close, but not quite. And they would start like going through this wrap of, okay, this many letters in the first name, this many letters in the second name, you know, this many letters total. And then they would be like, and then this sound is really important in the middle of the name. Like it has to be an A sound in the middle, or it has to be an A sound on the end. I was just talking to a woman last week and her baby was like, it has to be A on the end. I don't care what the name is as long as it's an A sound on the end.
Oh, wow.
Interesting, right? And so I just kind of thought that was like, well, we're just crafting the name. Like that's what it is. And I didn't think much more of it until I found the system. And basically it's called soul contract numerology. And it's based on the premise that the name that you have on your birth certificate shapes the reality that your soul comes to live on this planet. And it shapes everything. It shapes, again, your challenges, your gifts, your soul destiny, like your ultimate purpose as a soul on this planet. And so when I started putting these two pieces together, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what they've been talking about. The sounds, the names, the vibration, right? They were always very big on like the vibration of the name. What does it evoke? How does it make people feel? How does it make me feel? Does it represent like what I'm really supposed to do? And so anyway, I started diving deeper and deeper into the system. And one of the concepts in the system is that it's the soul. So I would say the spirit baby, they would say the soul. It's the soul's job every soul picks their name. It's the soul's job to get it to the parents, and it's the parents' job to get it right. That's the premise of the system. Gosh. And so, when I think like in this system, they say that about 90% of people get it right, but there's still that 10% where maybe they're like, one of the things as I've talked to people over the years is what I found is when parents make a last minute decision can sometimes be where things go a little bit astray. So, I was talking to this one woman and she was like, my mom didn't know what to name me. She had just given birth. We were in the hospital, and she basically, like, the next nurse that walks in, I'll name my baby after that nurse, and she just didn't feel connected to the name at all because it was sort of like a little random or kind of haphazard, right? And so anyway, the more and more I've gone into this, I've just noticed how intricate this is and how, what an art form it is to actually like receive the name of a baby as a parent, to really like be this channel for these names and to have everybody on board with them as well. That's the other part of it is like, I talked to a lot of moms and they're like, I got the name in the dream, but my husband doesn't like it. What do I do? It's finding that balance between these two things. So,
and maybe if your partner's a skeptic too, they'll be like, oh, come on, whatever. I dream about all this and that, it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, so basically the system is based on an ancient form of Hebrew mysticism, and it's based on the 22 sounds within this ancient Hebrew language, and that there are 22 sounds, and that basically each letter in a name converts to a numerical frequency. And then when we kind of break that down and we add that up, it creates this beautiful chart. And it's in sort of a Star of David shape. There's an upper triangle and a lower triangle, and the upper triangle represents our physical world or our physical aspect. And the lower triangle represents our spiritual evolution, our spiritual world. And so the upper triangle, the physical triangle, is what's most relevant in the first 35 years of our life. So it's what the soul is working through from ages of 0 to 35 years. I have a theory on that, so we'll go a bit more into it. And then it's called the ages 35 to 42 are called the awakening years. And that's
us, Sarah.
Yeah, the awakening years. And that's when you're moving into your spiritual triangle and you are really actualizing your spiritual purpose on this planet and your spiritual gifts on this planet.
Makes sense,
right?
That totally makes sense. Yeah.
So anyway, so basically we have like all these aspects, and then there's the core aspect in the center called the soul destiny, which is what I'll get into because you both actually share a soul destiny, which is so cool and so amazing. And it makes so much sense for why you are so aligned in your mission and your energies. And we actually call like shared soul destiny is called a best friend bond, which is so cute and so fun.
So cute.
Right? Isn't it so fun? So you both share an 11-2 soul destiny. And this is what your soul came in. Basically, the soul destiny is like, it's the crystal top of the mountain. This is like the core intention and purpose of what your soul wanted to do on this earth when it chose your name. And so, yeah, it's so amazing. And the soul destiny, the interesting part too, and I think that this is something that what I was going to mention as well, just like physical triangle, spiritual triangle, is that I think in a sense we are accelerating as well. Like for some people, it's not taking them 35 years to move from this physical triangle into the spiritual triangle. It's happening faster and faster. We're having this kind of acceleration of the spiritual awakenings that are happening and the awareness that we're coming into. And so I'm seeing more and more people that I'm talking to who are like, I feel like I'm in my spiritual triangle and I'm like, 25. And so it's really cool just to see how that's changing as well. But
Wow.
Anyway, coming back to your 11-2, a few things I want to mention about it. And then I would love to hear just like how each of you relate to this. And I'll talk about other aspects in your chart too. So the 11-2 is the frequency of light. It's like rebirth. It's a rebirth. It's a rebirth frequency. So at the core of it is that something that your souls came to experience and that you came to actualize and that you came to really embody on this planet is being able to constantly rebirth yourself and being able to be like a phoenix from the ashes, always rising. You're transmuting whatever comes your way. You're taking whatever comes your way and you're turning it into something beautiful. And it's also a building frequency. So you both are here to build something. Like you are here on this planet to take something and to turn it into something amazing, a legacy. Could be a business, a community. You are here to build. You are here to create. It's also a very, very empathic frequency. It's a very sensitive frequency. And so one of the things that the 11-2 can have happen is you are also here to like discover your truth and to find your truth regardless of what other people around you experience as their truth, and to kind of hold that and to shine that and to be that lighthouse and to stand in that, right? Everybody else is allowed to have their truth. You are here to stand in your own version of truth and to kind of embody that from that space, to shine that from that space. So that's the 11-2. It's here to build. It's here to create. It's also people probably, and I can attest to this, both of you just being in both of your energy, is that people feel really safe in your energy. You have an energy that like people come into your space and they're just like, oh, I feel so safe with you. I feel so protected. I feel so loved. And also can probably like want to open up to you and want to share their life with you and want to share their experiences with you. So that's kind of like the core of it. But the foundation of the 11-2 is truth. It's assimilation. So taking in too much energy from the outside world and needing to kind of like re-find yourself and re-find your truth and your center. And then also experiencing kind of this leaning into the power and the beauty of rebirth and of having to like be reborn over and over and over again through your life, rebirthing identities, like feeling free to move from different interests. It's like, okay, at one point this was like really my jam and now I'm over here and now I'm over here, but there's a core foundation of truth and authenticity at the base of the 11-2. So that's what you two share. Isn't that so special?
That's so cool.
It's so sweet. And so many of the words that you used, I was like, oh my God, that resonates with me. I use words all the time like rebirth and like discovery.
You do. You do.
Yes.
And also like Sarah and I are both massive empaths.
Yeah.
Like, and I used to not judge it, but I'm like, oh, it's almost to a fault. Like I feel so much for everyone, and so does Sarah.
Yes.
That you can't help but get invested in just the lives of all your friends and helping and want to nurture and take care. And it's so funny, as you were speaking, I was like, I can relate to that.
100%.
And I've tried lots of things in my life, lots of different areas. I'm like, oh, it was so funny. Remember when I was really into that random thing? And now I'm like, oh, I can't imagine ever wanting to do that, but I did do that.
100%. And that's like a part of how it's so fun, because that's a part of how your soul wants to learn. Like that is a part of it. That's a part of the process. And yeah, it's like taking things in, okay, testing this against my inner sense of truth. Maybe I'm holding onto it for a while and then I'm letting it go. I'm taking it in and then I'm letting it go. But what's so beautiful is that through like with this shared frequency throughout your lives, you can be each other's constant, because your souls are really here to experience and learn and actualize in the same way in these aspects. It's so amazing. It's so cool.
We've also said that like in the last couple of years, we've had a very similar path of ups and downs. Like we sort of like, have been doing all these things together for a long time. And then it was like all of a sudden our journey was like taking the road together, and like as things that were coming in that were really hard were happening, those were happening at the same time. Things that were like, okay, we're coming out of it and like these wonderful things are happening, that was happening at the same time too, which we were both like, this is so crazy. But this is also in the time in which we were like, okay, we're stepping into more of our like spirituality, and like that's where we're at right now. Like, we really want to like understand more of that.
And what lessons can we learn from those shared hardships? And then to be gifted this from the universe to both be pregnant
at the same time.
So special. And this is actually the closest age gap like we've ever had between our babies. So I was like, these babies were like, wee, now we're ready.
Oh, it's so amazing. I'm so happy for you both. And I just think back to, what I remember when we spoke last time, and I was like, oh, they're so connected and they're so connected to each other. And it just really feels like your families are so intricately intertwined. And so just to see how this is all manifested for both of you, with the ups and downs, like getting to this point now, it just feels like your baby's just like, oh, we did it. And we can just like relax. And we're so excited to be with each other and be with both of you. It's so amazing. I'm so happy.
I wish my baby would relax at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Unfortunately not. She's Could you just like pass them on a little message that I don't need an alarm clock at 5:30?
Yes.
It's like a party going on. Now I'm awake.
Oh my gosh, totally. And you can, it's fun. It's fun too, right? Because something I've actually noticed that the times, and this is a correlation I've noticed too, is like the times in the day when babies are like super active and they're like moving lots and kicking lots and this sort of thing is sort of almost like when they're Earth side, that's actually kind of a time in the day too where they're most active too. So we sometimes should we got to work on that maybe a little bit,
Woohoo! Yeah. Lucky me.
You're like, perfect. 5:30 is the time.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That's so, as you were talking about the name stuff, I was like, oh, it's interesting. Like I've always had kind of not a disconnection from my name, because I think it is really beautiful, the intention behind my name, like where my mum got it from, which is like my mum's a very devout Catholic woman, so a woman of faith, and she loved Saint Teresa and what Saint Teresa stood for, Saint Teresa of Avila, and she also always wanted to volunteer with Mother Teresa in Calcutta. And then my middle name is Mary. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Obviously, that's named after Mother Mary. So I'm double mother. I'm mother.
Wow.
And then it's so funny that I am mothering so many babies, so many children. So in a way, I'm like, oh, it's really fitting. But I did grow up. I think as I got into my teens, I was a little bit less connected to the reason behind it, because I lost my own Catholic faith and I sort of reestablished my own spiritual beliefs. And I think I'm now back in a place where I'm like, I really appreciate like the intention behind the name. It doesn't mean that I have to have the same religious beliefs as my mum, but I'm in a better place with my name now. I think I kind of rebelled against it. I was like, I wanted something cool. And I like renamed myself Tez at school. I was like, no, call me Tez. And that felt aligned at the time. People still call me Tez actually. But yeah, it's been a funny one.
This is so good. I'm so glad you brought this up because there's a few different things I want to touch on from that. First of all, I think that when we are moving through our life, I had this too. My legal first name is Helen. So I'm named after both of my grandmothers exactly. On either side, And so Emily's actually my middle name. But my parents kind of crafted my name and they knew that I was always going to go by Emily, but they kind of had Helen first. And so legally they were always like, I would always get called Helen because that was my legal first name. And I hated it. I was like, oh, my name isn't Helen, it's Emily. I would always really resist that this was my legal first name. And then when I saw this chart and I saw my full birth name that was on my birth certificate, I was like, oh, this had to be my name in this order with all these names. So I think there is this interesting thing that we can have, right? Where just like you said, Teresa, where we rebel against what our name is. And I've actually also found this with a lot of women that I talk to who kind of have very popular names like in the 80s and the 90s and this sort of thing, like Jennifer's and Ashley's and this sort of thing. And like the very, very popular name right now is Olivia. That's like been the top name, I think, for
Oliver
a very long time.
And Olivia.
Yes. Yeah. Like since early 2000s.
And Henry's always in the top.
Yes. So all of these names, right, that we have these kind of that a lot of people have. And I find a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, oh, I don't like it because other people have it. But what often ends up happening is that we go through these phases or these waves of like liking our name or really like embracing it and really loving the meaning behind it. And then also feeling this kind of resistance to it or changing it into a nickname. And what's so interesting about nicknames is that, so if you choose to call yourself a nickname or a lot of your friends call you a nickname, that also changes the vibration. Coming back to that original concept, which is that what you are called, your name shapes your reality. And so there's a very good chance for you, Teresa, that at a certain point in your life, when you asked to be called yourself this nickname, Tez, right, that it actually changed your reality for a period of time. And that's what you needed.
Yeah, I thought I was a hardcore.
Right.
I was like, Tez, I'm so cool, hanging out with my friends, wagging school, drinking alcohol.
Wagging.
Yes.
Yeah, wagging.
And so then what we could do, I could even look at this after, is we could look at the overlay that name creates with your actual full birth name and see like what aspects were active for you when you were going by that nickname in your life and how it was actually serving you and serving your evolution. And then kind of like at this point of coming back to, oh no, I love my name, or I love the meaning behind it, or I found my own relationship to my name. And that even goes for married names too. So this is so interesting. It's like your name vibration changes when you get married as well. And so when I got married, I didn't know why, but I had such a resistance to changing my legal name. I was going by it, but I just was like, I can't do it. I can't put in the paperwork. Why is this? So then I spoke to someone, soul contract numerology, and she was like, well, it makes sense because when you change your name, you're going to be taking on all of this. Like this is the energy that you're going to be taking on. And she's like, there's a very good chance that you just weren't ready for that yet. That was kind of like a little too intense for you. Isn't that so interesting?
Yes.
That's so interesting. Yeah. My children have my last name. Not my husband's last name. And we didn't take my husband's last name, but it felt right. Yeah. Just like, and for Mark too, he was like, I want them to be Palmers. And I was like, I want that too. We're like, that's going to be different. We're going to be the ones that go against the grain, Yes. And I can't imagine it any other way. I'm like, they're like the Palmer kids,
Yeah. And so there's something in that too. Like there's something in the vibration of that name that your children and their souls wanted. So I would love to look at their charts too. Oh my gosh, it's such a rabbit hole.
So Sarah with her baby, we know what Sarah's baby's name is.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we're right there with the middle name yet. Maybe. Well, maybe. But I have two front runners and I don't know the gender of my baby. I'm like, I keep flipping and flopping.
Yep.
But recently I've had a bunch of people come and tell me what they think the gender is, like the psychics and people like at random parties. And it's been the same. I'm like, oh my God, it's so random. But like, as you were saying that, I realized this is the first time I've ever been pregnant where, including with my loss, I knew the baby's name. This is the first time I haven't been 100% dead certain on the name. And it's thrown me because I've always known, even before I've been pregnant, I'm like, my girl's called this, my boy's called this, my second boy's this, my second girl's this. But this time round, I've had this name that I have always thought I was going to have a child by that name. And then this other one has sort of been like lingering around a lot too. And I'm like, what is the baby trying to tell me? And will I know? Like I'm nervous that I'm going to get it wrong and choose the wrong one when the baby comes out. And I'm like, am I just going to know?
Yeah.
Am I going to look at it and just know? Yeah, like that's my question.
That's such a good question. Because I think it's interesting too. And I know a lot of people like you, Teresa, who they just know even before conception, it's like, oh, this is this baby's name, this is this baby's name. And that's kind of like, it feels very settled. They feel very confident on this. And then there is going to be some souls who, and I feel like with this baby, and what I kind of feel from this is that with the two names, it's like there's the name that you've always had, that was always in your awareness. It was like, this baby will be this name, right? So it's been there for a very long time. And then
my husband even has a tattoo of the name.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Well, a symbolism of the name. Yeah.
How cool is that? So this has been like in your consciousness for quite a while. And then there's this other name that has kind of floated in that's like, hey, this is an option. And I feel that this is something too, and this is kind of where we can have fun looking at the charts and looking at them side by side and seeing, okay, like this name name and what kind of reality or energy does this create? And with this name, what kind of reality or energy does this create? And can kind of help us to sort of just go, oh, well, I was feeling these aspects from this soul. And then it just sort of validates. So that's why I love this system, because it's great in these situations. But what I really truly feel is that if we are patient and we are just like in our hearts and we are conscious and we're tuned in and we're aware that, okay, I have both of these names and both of these names are in my awareness. This is the one I always thought I would have. This is like a new one. And I'm going back and forth between the two of them, is that I think when the situation is like that, it's kind of like a slow burner where the name is going to come in maybe a little bit closer towards the end of the pregnancy, where it kind of clarifies towards the end of the pregnancy where you're like, yes, okay, I feel so clear. However, it may be one of those ones where you're like, I actually don't know until I see baby, until I'm like, oh, this is 100% you, so it may be one of those situations. And that's actually kind of orchestrated or designed by them. Sometimes they're like, your indecision is actually their indecision. So it's not necessarily like you are undecided. It may actually be that the soul is undecided in terms of like what they want from the name and how that's going to shape their life. Does that make sense?
It totally does. And I also was, as you were saying that, I was thinking like, it's also the first time I haven't found out the gender of my baby. And and I think that's another thing, is like, is it a boy? Is it a girl? I think I know what it is, but I don't 100% know. And I feel the same way about the name. So maybe it's like, I've got to see the gender of the baby and then the two names, and then it's going to pop in. But I have had dreams of the OG name. I've had a lot of dreams of that name. And so I'm like, okay, is that the name that the baby was? Because it's been in our orbit for so long. Like, why am I not 100%? It was more my husband wasn't 100% on that name. He was kind of like, I like it, I don't love it. But then he comes back around every now and then. He's like, no, I think that is the name. So he's just as confused as me. And he's been brought on this not finding out the gender journey because of me. Right. Yeah. He would like to know. Yeah. So it's been interesting this time, a little bit different for us.
Yeah, it does add that extra layer of complexity, right? When you don't know. And I think it can actually sometimes be really beautiful. It's like you're in the mystery, you're in the mystery of just like, what is this? And this, and it does, I think it does like really encourage the trust in your soul connection, I think, more when you don't know the gender, because you're like, okay, I'm feeling this and I had this dream and I'm getting these dreams at the same time and I think I know. And, and all these things, I think it really, sometimes it actually can be by design, where it really helps us to sort of deepen into our intuition and to our sense of what we feel and what we sense. And that can be very powerful. But one thing that I'll say, because you mentioned dreams, I'll mention some of the ways that spirit babies can like get the names to their parents. So sometimes in situations like yours, it can just be like, I know that this is the name. I know for you, Sarah, where it was just like, this is it. This is the name. Like, I just know it. I feel it.
And she's had that name for the last however many years, like years. Every time like she was like, I'm pregnant, it was like, that's why we kind of feel like it's the same soul that's returned, because it's always been like, that's the baby's name.
Yes. Yeah. And it's very clear and there's no confusion. Yeah, 100%. And so that's one of the ways, right? Where, and even I talked to this one family. This is such an amazing story where this woman, she was like in kindergarten and I don't know what, she was so like little, right? And when she was like coloring one day in kindergarten, she had this voice drop into her head and say, my name is Ariana. Like, this is my name. This is what my name is going to be. And she was like, oh, that's my future baby's name. And so she held this name with her for her entire life. And then she met her husband, and, they were like talking about children and talking about baby names. And he was like, well, when I was in kindergarten, I had this vision basically that my first baby's name was going to be Ariana. And she was like, what are you talking about? Me too. And so isn't that amazing? I have goosebumps every time I tell this story.
Oh my gosh.
So this soul came to both of its parents at different points when they were both little children, and they remembered the name and kept it with them their whole lives. And then they were finally talking about baby names, and they realized that it was the same name that each of them got, which means it was the same soul that was coming to them that early on. So, I mean, that just like, when you think about that way, it just really opens everything up where you're like, wow, right? So situations like those where it's like, it's always been this, I just know it, however long you've had it for, maybe you've had it since you were a teenager, maybe you've had it since you were like 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So that's a big one.
Yeah, well, poet was either going to be poet or this name, and prairie was either going to be prairie or this name.
Fascinating. So it's always been there. It's been in the reserve.
I had a friend of mine who was helping me manifest like getting pregnant. She drew this beautiful image. She's an artist. And she drew like my children walking through this field, like a prairie with this flowers and this and that. And then she drew the symbolism of this name because it was, everyone knew that like that was the baby that I was calling in. And she drew it as like a part of the manifesting.
Wow.
I was like, I've got it framed on the wall. And I'm like, that's the baby. Is it that's the baby, right? Come on. It's been with us. It's a name that's been with us forever.
Yeah. And you just been waiting for the right soul to give this name. That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this is the right one, but I'm like, okay, why are we throwing in this other name?
Yep. Yeah. Just to keep it fresh, keep the plot twist.
Yeah, exactly.
But I really do think it is one of those things where it 90% is probably the same, but the soul is probably just throwing in another name of sort of like, here's another possibility. Here's something that I'm considering, that I'm kind of, I'm considering it seriously enough that I'm popping it into your awareness just so you can kind of play with it with me too at the same time, and we can kind of work it out together. Sometimes they do that where they'll kind of like to keep it fresh and spicy with us.
I love that. And what about middle names? Like what is the importance of middle names? Because I've often been like, I mean, I really care about my kids' middle names. I really think about them. But I know that there are some people that like either don't do middle names or they're just like, I'll give them this name. It's kind of cute.
Very important. Yeah,
it is very important. Okay.
Too. They are, because it makes up the whole, and this is even like the last name, is the last name, where is it coming from? Is it hyphenated? How many letters? And like, it all matters. It all adds up, because every letter breaks down into a numerical frequency, which then creates this chart. And so middle names are super important. And I think that you're right. That is sometimes the narrative where it's like, oh, well, we don't really know what to give the middle name, so we'll just like throw in something, that kind of fit or that it sounds good or whatever. But I think that middle names deserve the same intention and consciousness, even if this is not something that we ever plan to like call our child by. This is not going to be their first name, but it is still very, very important. So yeah, there's a lot of it. It's so much intention that goes into naming. It really is so important. It really is so important. And when I'm saying this, sometimes I'm talking about this and people go, oh my gosh, we can easily go into the mode of like, I don't want to get it wrong, or like, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to get it right. And what I'll say is that you and your baby and you and the spirits of your children, you have a link and you have a connection, and they have an ability to put the right things in front of you that need to be in front of you. So what I just say to people is, if we're just staying open and we're staying aware, and some like a prayer that I have for people who are really having a hard time and they're like, I'm getting down to the wire. I really don't know which way are we going to go. What's the first name? What's the middle name? What's the last name? Is meeting every day just with like, okay, I trust whatever you're going to drop in my path today. I trust that you will give me a sign that can validate this name for me. I trust that you will help me meet somebody who maybe like has this name or has this name spelling, or I'll see it in a song or hear it in a song lyric or on a TV show or whatever. Like, if they will get to you what they need to get to you. Sometimes like we're talking about with Teresa, it's almost like they need a little bit more time to do that. So that may not come until like week 38, or week 40, or baby's already here. And then you're getting that confirmation. So I think it really just requires this sense of trust, not only in yourself, like I trust myself to tune into my baby. Like my baby and I are intricately connected. We understand each other. Our energies are flowing together. We know each other. We understand each other, even though we haven't met physically yet. And also, I trust my baby. Like, I really trust my baby soul is going to get me what I need in order to name them properly. And that also goes for our partners too, right? Where I'll talk to people too, where they're like, I love this name. I know this is supposed to be my child's name, but my husband is kind of like, I don't know. And so then what I say to people is I say, talk to your baby and ask them to go to your partner and to work with them and to support them and to help them into seeing that this is a beautiful choice for the name for the child. And they will. And then, the next thing I hear from a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, my husband came to me like 3 days later and he's like, you know what? I had a dream and it is this name. And so they will use dreams a lot. That is a really great way to connect, because our conscious mind is offline. We're in just a receptive state where it's like, this is the name. This feels right. I'm like, this name is coming through in a dream. How can I question that? So they will often use dreams, whether that's for us or for our partners, or even for other people. Like I've had people that I talk to too, and they're like, my best friend dreamed of the name, and she's like, is this your baby's name? And they'll like bring it to them in this way. So they'll also use other people if they really want to clarify something for us, or they really want to make us feel like this is it and make us feel really, really confident about that. So yeah.
That's so cool. I was also going to say that when I was talking to you a few weeks ago, you said that, which is another really amazing aspect, but you said that my dad had a middle name and that he was like writing it on a piece of paper and like sort of showing that he was like going to give it to the baby on the way in. And so that it would just become more clear. And so the name that I love, I'm still like not 100% sure. So I've been like looking and, trying to figure out other middle names, but yeah, I thought that was a cool aspect too. And then I've also noticed, which I think is fun to put out there, is that there was a couple moments in this pregnancy where I was like, is this the same soul? And like, there was a few things that made me like kind of go up and down or back and forth about it. And then the moment I would start to question it, I'd start seeing this name in places, like seeing it like randomly on a sign, or like, like I'd pass a street sign and it would be like this name, or, you'd go like,
I just got a sign of that name the other day.
Yes.
In New York.
And I was like,
Sarah,
which is so cool. And so then I'd be like, oh, well, there it is again, and it's not like a normal name. So it's not like, for
you see it all the time.
Yeah, it's not like a thing that's, would be everywhere. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing as well, is I remember that with your dad, and he was like, don't worry, I'm going to get it to you. Like, here it is. And sometimes that is something that for whatever reason in that experience, it was important for your dad to say this and to pass this forward and to say, hey, I'm helping with this and I'm going to help bring this middle name forward. And, I know you have another one that you're considering as well. And I think it's maybe one of those things where it's like, okay, at the birth or in the birth experience or shortly after birth, where it's like, oh, okay, this is it, or this makes sense,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have it like set and settled and you're like, this is it and everything's good. But sometimes I do find some babies are sort of like, there is some wiggle room, but for sure, I mean, with this first name, it's like, this is that baby's name. They are like, so this is it, and have found so many beautiful ways to show you these signs when you're questioning it. And that's what I mean as well. Like, your babies know, not only are you like physically, energetically connected, you're sharing everything, you're sharing a nervous system, you're sharing all these things, but you're also so spiritually connected. And so when we're having a doubt or an insecurity, or like, is this, I don't know, oh my gosh, they know that they can sense that. And so they'll kind of get ahead of it 10 steps ahead and be like, okay, sign here, sign for Sarah here. I'm going to make sure she sees this. I'm going to make sure Teresa sees this and she can send it to Sarah. You know, so they're so intelligent in that way, where if you need reassurance, if you are feeling unclear, if you're feeling confused, if you are feeling like, I really don't know, or I need confirmation, or I'm having a wobble, maybe sometimes I talk to people and they're like, I told the name for the baby to my mom and she didn't like it, and now I'm questioning it. And that can be a whole thing too, right?
Just don't do it. Don't say anything.
Don't tell anybody. Exactly. Because then their opinion and the outside influence can then kind of like get into our head or get into our intuition and make us question ourselves. So, but they're so intelligent and they will find ways to confirm these things for you. It's so magical how they do this, like they did it for you, Sarah.
Oh, so cool.
I love this stuff so much. Have you, just to jump into spirit babies for a second, have you ever met a spirit baby that's like, nah, I'm not actually going to come in. Like, I'm sort of around, but I don't really feel like coming in right now. Like, do they have personalities? Like, can they be sassy on the other side? And you're like, oh my God, this one's a spitfire.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. I wouldn't say, like, sometimes they can be, they're very sensitive. Like, here's what I'll say. They want to express their authentic personality. It's very important for them. And they can't censor themselves. They just are who they are. Their personality is who it is. In the spirit side, there's no such thing as like, censoring or, altering or changing. They show up how they are. And so sometimes that can be like you said, I'm not ready, or I need more time, or I'm kind of still deciding, I don't really know, like, am I going to be here? Am I not? I'm not really sure. But what they will always do is they're going to deliver that information lovingly and compassionately to their parents. And whereas like, hey, I don't really know yet. I'm not really sure. I'm considering it, or I'm kind of weighing all my options, or I'm doing this thing. And they'll deliver it in that way, because I understand that, when we can feel a soul, and then there's also a sense of like uncertainty of like, are they going to make it here? Are they not? That is a sensitive topic. That's sensitive for us. So they will translate it, or they'll communicate it, I find, to me anyway, where they're sensitive about it or they're compassionate to it. But yes, they definitely do have personalities. You know what is funny? I find I'm noticing a theme where a lot of the more like in this age, in the last, like, let's say, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 years, where a lot of the female spirit babies that I talk to, these are the ones who are like very confident and like spitfire energy and very fiery and very like sure of themselves, and they're very talkative and they are very clear in their communication, all these things. So I find like I'm finding a lot of girls with that sort of personality archetype. And a lot of the boys are very sensitive, very like watery, very sweet, very like artistic and creative and all these things. And so what I've found from that is that, of course, every soul has their own unique personality, but I'm just finding that I'm noticing these themes between like the girls that I talk to and the boys that I talk to. And that I actually think, it's my opinion, that there is a specific kind of personality wave of like girls coming in who are like super fiery and like they're ready to like change the world, literally. Like all the girls always say, I'm here to change things. I'm here to shake things up. I'm here to change the systems. I'm like here to break things down and open them up. And a lot of the boys are like, they have this like a more subtle energy, like it's a bit more mysterious and it's a bit more like, anyway. And so I find that this is kind of in response to like the energy that we're needing here from the different people who are coming in. Like we need these like super confident, outspoken women. And so that's like the souls that are coming in to serve that purpose. It's so interesting.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Isn't that cool?
Oh my God, I love it so much. Yeah, I feel like a lot of friends who might have a preference for one or the other. And then I really do feel like you receive the sort of soul and the gender, like what you need and what is going to fit best in your life. And I think that's also why I'm just like, I really just have zero expectations. I have no preference like of a gender. I'm just kind of like, the universe knows, this spirit baby knows like how they're going to present themselves and what they need. And it's so liberating just to like let go of that. I think when I was younger, I was like, I have to parent both genders. I have to. And if I don't, like, I'll be so disappointed. And I did get that opportunity to parent both genders, but I also know girlfriends who have all of one gender, like either all boys or either all girls. They are like, this is just my beautiful, perfect like contract. This is what I'm supposed to have. And I think that's great because, you know, you keep hearing about gender disappointment and all these things, and it's so hard for people. And then I think it's like the lead up, and then once the child is there and like they fit into your family, you're just like, oh my God, this was meant to be.
100%. Oh, I love that you're bringing that up. I think that's so important because I think it comes up in a lot of people that I talk to as well, where they're like, oh, I was feeling a girl and I got a boy, and I was feeling a boy and then I got a girl. And ultimately, I love what you said, Teresa, about like, we really do get the energy, feminine or masculine, that fits our family. And I also find too, like, you know, I'll talk to really super feminine leaning souls who then come into masculine bodies. And then it's like, how are they expressing more the opposite? You know, and so this is the thing too, is that soul frequency is very different than, you know, the body that we come into. And I think many of us are here to really integrate both like masculine and feminine parts and have this balance within us of like, I know how to call upon the divine masculine within me, and I know how to call upon the feminine, and I'm kind of like have this balance. And so I'm finding that more and more souls are looking to kind of integrate that and explore that and to really be in balance in that way. But yeah, it's a big thing. And you're right. Everyone that I talk to who are experiencing different kinds of gender disappointment or this sort of thing, and then the baby gets here and they're like, oh my God, I can see why this happened. I can see why I needed to move through this. I could and they actually end up working through something within themselves. It's like, what was I looking for in this child to fulfill? Exactly. I had this one client of mine who she was having her first baby and really thought it was a girl, and then found out it was a boy and was really having a hard time with it. And then she sat with it and realized that she lost her mom when she was 19. And so she was looking to kind of fulfill this mother-daughter relationship with her first child as a way to kind of heal her losing her mom. And when she moved through that and worked through that, she realized this baby boy, I can do that's happening the exact same way. It's just a little bit different than I thought it was going to look, So yeah, it's all healing.
That's amazing.
It's all healing.
That is. Do you want to take us back to the name chart and tell us a little bit more about how that works? And
there's a few more aspects that I wanted to touch on. So we touched on your 11-2 soul destinies, your shared best friend bond. So beautiful. That was so cool. And the two other things that I wanted to touch on in your chart, Sarah, I'll talk about yours first. So like I said, there's the physical triangle and then there's the spiritual triangle. And so I'm going to talk about your spiritual triangle, Sarah. You have at the top of your chart. So it's it literally looks like a true north arrow. It's like yes, we have this soul destiny, but the true north part of our chart is the spiritual goals. So we can kind of almost use the spiritual goals to actualize the soul destiny. And so your spiritual goals is a 6-6 frequency, which is a frequency of creativity. And it's like the artist and it's the creator. And it is like being this divine channel for God and for spirit and to sort of funnel it through you and to create things in this physical world that is being kind of given to you from spirit. And so your spiritual goals are the way that you actualize this kind of 11-2, which is to build its truth, its community, its legacy. Is through creation and is through creativity. So that's kind of how you're channeling God energies, channeling spirit energies, channeling source energies is through creation. And so it's a very artistic frequency. And so it's said that with the 6-6, especially at the top of your chart, we could even consider this as at your crown, right? This is where you're receiving divine insight and spiritual insight. It's going to come through in ideas. It's going to come through in concepts, creations where you're oh, I have this new idea to do this thing or to create this thing. And it can be in a professional setting, or it could even just be in a personal setting where you're oh, I want to paint today, or I want to create this piece of art, or I want to write this poem or create this photo. Or it's also very focused on the frequency through aesthetic. So it's creating an aesthetic that evokes a specific frequency and makes people feel a specific frequency. So it's it's artist energy. It's poet, creator, creative. That's how you're channeling the divine through you. That's your spiritual goals. And that's what's going to help you to actualize this 11-2. Is that cool?
So cool. Yeah. It's amazing that you could do this with the name that you're choosing for your baby beforehand and just be wow, you know what I mean?
And that's where I love it, because it's it can give you these touch points where I'll talk to people where they're okay, I'm feeling this from this soul. I feel they're this. I feel this from them. I feel this from them. And then we'll look at the name that they're considering. It's yep, everything checks out. You can see the parallels between what you're feeling or what you sense and what is actually showing up in the name that you're considering. So it's so cool. And that's why I love this system, because it's it's giving this sort of tangible, physical way to ground these feelings that people are having about their babies. It's fascinating. So then, Teresa, you have something in the bottom part of your charts and the base of your chart. It's your physical talents. And we actually share this placement. We both have a 9-9 frequency at the bottom of our chart. So it's our foundation. And the 9 is the most powerful frequency in the entire soul contract numerology system. It's known as the dragon energy, and it's the most catalytic energy in the whole system. And so with 9-9 in your physical talents, it's literally you can create anything you want. Anything you want, anything that you desire, anything that you want to manifest, you can make it happen. It's very, very powerful. It's really cool. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And so the 9-9, a lot of people though with the 9-9, they they may find, and I certainly had this myself in my life, where it's like there is this, because there's such a power that you can maybe sense within yourself, however you relate to that, where it's just like, I just have this energy running through me. I have this like desire to lead and to show up and this sort of thing. Is that there can be a resistance to it, right? And to kind of like suppressing the power, suppressing the self, or this sort of thing. And so through the life, we're supposed to come into the power and understand that you have this 9-9 at the base of your chart for a very specific reason. And it is meant to help you kind of like create through the rest of the physical world and the spiritual world. And it's literally like, one of the things that I learned in this teaching is that if you have the 9-9 in this position, which you do, there is nothing that you can't achieve. Nothing.
Whoa.
There is nothing that you can't achieve. So it's very powerful.
So is it really like you can get in your own way?
Yes.
But if you get out of your way, anything's achievable.
Anything is possible.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
That tracks, right?
Oh my God. Pressure's on.
But the cool thing is you're already doing it. It's probably it's already coming through you, right? It's already moving through you. It's already you haven't even needed to think about this. This is already a frequency that's coming through you, and it's manifesting in the physical world without you even having to think about it.
That's so cool.
So neat, right?
I think that's such a good question, Sarah, about like, can you do this beforehand with the baby name to help choose their, like, how do I get my baby to have a 9-9 at the bottom?
Yep. Yes. And this is where, like, so I was actually just working with a client of mine. She just had her baby on May 10th and is a boy. And she was between, I'm sure she'd be fine with me saying this because she's already named her baby and everybody knows about it. Yeah. But she loved the name Rowan. But
pretty.
She was between the spellings of R-O-E-N or R-O-A-N. She wasn't sure which one she was going to go with. And so we looked at the chart and we kind of compared them. And I was like, listen, I'll just give you I'll give you kind of like what is showing up in the chart. And then you tell me which feels more resonant for the baby that you're carrying.
Oh, I'm going to do that with you.
That's so really cool.
I'm going to give you my options. Yeah, and then for sure you can help.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. You can design it.
Yeah, because you have like a certain feeling, right? Because I remember like when I was going to name Wyatt Story when I was first pregnant with him. And we had wanted to name a baby Story for so long. Like it just came into, like we had heard the name. We were like, oh, Story. And then when I was pregnant with him, at some point in the pregnancy, I was like, that's not his name. It was so weird. And so then I like found this other name for him, Wyatt, which felt so fitting to the baby that was inside of me. And yet I was really basing it off like he felt really big and he felt really like a lot of kicks and he felt spunky and like he never stopped moving. And there was just like so much that I was feeling like that, where I was like, I don't know, for like Story doesn't fit it. And then we used Story later for Winter, like Winter's middle name.
And that's
which
so
was perfect. It's so her.
It's so her.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And that's where it's like these names, I think that we usually, our soul or our intuition usually has a pretty good sense of the souls that are coming into us and are going to come to join us throughout our life and are going to come in and be our children. And so we kind of can have like this eye cloud of all these different potential names or these ideas. And it's like literally putting a puzzle together. It's like, okay,
oh my gosh,
let me feel in what name fits you where. And it's putting a puzzle together. And that's why I love the system, because I think it can just help put that puzzle together and sort of clarify things of like, what fits who where, you know?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm definitely going to do this with you with these options. And then I'll tell, like, after the baby's born, I can share, like, what the names were.
Yeah, what
and, like,
you guys
what
did.
The different, that's so cool.
So fun. Oh, I love it. I can't wait. It's so much fun. I literally could do it all day. Like, I have looked at, I don't even know how many charts. And it's so fun because then you can get into, like, it's such a rabbit hole, honestly. It has, like, consumed my life for the last year, which is so much fun. But you can look at your parents' names and your siblings' names. And then you can look at the synastry between, it's exactly like astrology in a sense, where it's like, okay, you can look at the astrological synastry between your parent and you, and why did you choose your parent, and all these things. You can see the exact same thing with the names. Wow. Like we can look at them all side by side and see how the synastry flows between siblings even, right? Like what's the energetic connection between siblings because of their names. And just like we found that you two have a best friend bond, there's other types of bonds that we can look for within the chart. So we can look for like karmic connections where there may be something that two family members are looking to work out together. It's like, okay, we clash a little, like we butt heads a little, but what are we trying to learn with each other through that? Or there's a very harmonious connection between my mom and I, and then we can actually look at your names side by side and go, oh, well, this is why. Because you have this very harmonious, like supporting each other's goals and supporting each other's like talents and supporting each other's things that they want to do in this world. So it's like, there's so much to it. It's so amazing. Wow. It's so much fun. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So cool.
I was thinking about you as I was in the shower. I was in the shower before we got on, but I was thinking about like all of the, processing all of this. And I was like telling baby, I was like, okay, baby, dad's gone. He's in DC. Like, I'm so excited for you to come, but don't come until after dad is back, especially because I have COVID. Like, yes, we got to get you here in like a healthy space. You believe like, and I believe this too, but that your baby really hears you. And you like, obviously there's times in which babies come in these crazy ways and, certain things can trigger things and you don't realize like, oh, that was supposed to happen. But it's amazing the communication you can have with your little one, right? Like I remember talking to Wyatt before he was born and saying like, dad goes back to work on Monday. So if you came today or like this weekend, like you'll get to spend a couple of days with him before he has to go back to, there's no like paternity leave when you're shooting a show. So like you'll have a couple of days with him before he goes back. Sure enough, I went into labor like that night. Like, full on, which is so crazy. Yeah.
I've talked to my placenta before and been like, placenta, it is time to move away from the cervix. We need to move. We need to create space here so we can have a vaginal birth. I talked.
And it worked. Did it work?
And it worked. Yeah. It pulled away just enough that I didn't have placenta previa with my second baby.
Incredible. 100%. First of all, I love that. I think in my opinion, everything in our bodies have a consciousness. And when we meet our bodies with consciousness and with love and with intention, whether it's like asking a placenta to move or asking it, this is something that I work with people too. Okay, baby's breech. Okay, let's support them in making the transition from breech to head down. That's another thing, like talking to your body, to your baby with love and intention and consciousness and like filling them in, just like you did, Sarah, where you're like, hey, here's the sitch. This is where we're at time-wise. Yeah. This is what needs to happen. And they listen. They're so receptive to that. They are considering all factors and all options. And if they can make it work and if it works for them, then they 100% will. Or they'll wait until a time where, and then it's like, okay, exactly like you said, okay, that night, that's labor started to pick up and that started to happen. But I really believe that they're listening. They can hear us. They understand. And they will, if it works for them, they will 100% make moves to make it happen, whatever way, whether that's them flipping, and then there's babies who I talk to and mom's like, okay, I need them to flip. And I'll talk to baby and I'm like, baby's not good. Baby doesn't want to. Baby's like very happy breech, or baby really needs to come in. And this is like, it brings a whole other layer, right? Where sometimes things can shift if they are supposed to, whether that is like baby flipping from breech to head down or this sort of thing. And sometimes they're not supposed to. And so then I'll talk to moms after and they're like, I 100% understand why baby had to be breech, because it taught me this and I was able to have this experience and it was actually really beautiful and it was very healing and all these things, so it's like there's two sides of it where yes, 100% sometimes things are going to move, I would say most of the time, and also there's sometimes where they're like, I can't flip because it actually is important for me to have this experience or for us to have this experience.
Wow.
So that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, our babies are going to be anterior. We're going to have peaceful, easy births, no back labor.
Yes. I mean, I've heard from a few people, you're going to have a really beautiful birth and you deserve it. And I'm like, I will deserve to have a beautiful birth after freaking COVID at the end of my pregnancy.
You deserve to have like your easiest birth. I think this one's going to be the easiest, most peaceful, beautiful.
Fingers crossed.
Agreed.
Fingers crossed.
We're holding the vision for you, Sarah.
Holding the vision.
I feel it for you anyway. We are holding the vision,
so do
I feel it. Yeah.
I do too.
Well, tell us, Emily, where can people find you to be able to like do this name chart with you and like sign on for this, and how do they do that?
Yeah. So I actually just at the end of this year when I finished studying this system, I just added it to my website. They're called baby naming consultations. So much fun. And so you can find those on my website, emilythemedium.com, and just send me an email and I can get you set.
Oh my gosh.
I will be emailing you.
Amazing. Yes.
Teresa, send me the names and then I'll go into the charts and we can work it out.
I'll tell you as soon as we stop recording what the options are.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here, coming back to us. Like, I feel like we're just going to have you on like every, like, I don't know, 6 months on this podcast, because you're like a person we can tap in with and, you know, talk about all these magical things. It's so cool.
Oh, I love it here. Thank you both for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And you guys can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and check out Emily the Medium. It's at Emily the Medium on Instagram. And then she has her site and everything there. So, all right, Daisies, we love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.